Van Ausbrecht of Ulm. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Stench of Truth. Yesterday, the Senate passed a new bailout bill, which no doubt will be quickly shuffled over to the House. I know a lot of people, I've seen many videos on YouTube, and I've seen a lot of talk within the mainstream media and alternative media which proclaimed the defeat of the bill in the House as a victory for quote-unquote the people. But in actual fact, if you look at the sequence of events and what has occurred since the failure of the bill to pass in the House earlier this week, you will see that in fact what is going on is the blackmail of politicians in this country, the blackmail of Congress by Wall Street. Because when the bill did not pass on Monday, the Wall Street markets fell a significant amount, 777 points I believe, which was the biggest one-time loss in history if I'm not mistaken. Now, the significance of this is the fact that the next day, after they talked about reviving the bill and coming up with something that would be palatable to those people who voted against it, the markets then shot back up, 400 and some points I believe. So they rebounded. What this is in effect is blackmail. It's the market saying that if you do not pass some sort of bailout giveaway to us, we will just continue to go into the drink. So it's not pressure being put on by the people, because as we all know, anybody who has any sense that is, knows that the people do not have a particular say in what goes on. Now, there may be particular races in the House, some have said, where people are forced to, congressmen are forced to follow the dictates of their constituents because their races are in jeopardy. Much is the case for a representative here in Pennsylvania, Jason Altmaier, who is facing a tough challenge against Melissa Hart. So he felt the need, as it were, to abide by the will of his constituents in order to, secure some support in the upcoming election. There are others that fall into that camp as well. Let's say, even though I'm very skeptical about the people having any say in this, and I'm very much of the opinion that a new bill will pass in the House, whether it's amended form of what the Senate has passed or something completely different is irrelevant, because the bailout giveaway will be passed, regardless of what the people want to say or do. But as before, I urge you to act as though you do have a voice and express your concern. Call your congressmen, as I called my senators, and attempted to get them to vote against the bill. Unfortunately, both the senators here in Pennsylvania voted for the fucking thing. So, sure, there are many of you out there who are in the same situation that I am. Now, this particular bill that has been passed by the Senate has a tremendous amount of pork attached to it, which, in the words of one senator, was meant to make the bill more appealing to some of the House members that did not vote for it before. Well, I guess, since it's in the form of bribery, earmarks, and pork for the fucking representatives who didn't vote for it before. So, is it any wonder that it might make it a little bit more agreeable to those who did not vote for it before? One particular provision votes to repeal an excise tax on wooden arrows. Yes, wooden arrows, which will save a particular company $200,000 or something to that effect every year that they have to pay in excise taxes on wooden arrows. So aren't you glad that's included in the Senate's version? Pork, pork, and more fucking pork. And it's no surprise that McCain and Obama both support the Senate bill as it passed. And they both had virtually the same thing to say about it when asked to give comments, and that was that there's plenty of time for us to go after the criminals and crooks that brought about this state of affairs. But right now, we have to come together in love and peace and correct the situation for what it is. When in actuality what they really meant to say was, there's plenty of time for all of the angry people out there to calm down and forget about the criminality and the fucking crooks who brought us to the brink of economic ruin on Wall Street, so that we can successfully shove it under the fucking rug. Because that's exactly what's going to happen. There'll be no recriminations. So it's only a matter of time, and it's only a matter of details as to when the House will pass their particular version of this bill, and it will be passed on to the President, and then the billions will start to roll out. Of course, I do not need to say that I support alternative measures being taken with the $700 billion to $1 trillion that may ultimately be spent on this boondoggle scheme. That would be direct rebates to legal, lawful taxpayers in this country in the amount of tens of thousands of dollars, which would benefit everybody. People who are behind on their mortgages can get caught up. They could get caught up on their car payments, in addition to spending money into the economy to boost it. I don't see any downside to that scenario, except that it benefits the common man, and that is not what this administration or the government is about. It's about helping corporations and those who are rich. And in one final note, you'll be happy to hear that some Chinese candy has been found to be tainted with melamine. Isn't it wonderful? So maybe you want to go check your cabinets and drawers and what have you for your various Chinese-made products and see if you have any of the tainted milk or candy or lead-filled toys or any of the other poison-laden things that China has dumped upon us. And ask yourself, should we blame the Chinese, or should we blame the corporations? Or should we blame both of them and hang them fucking all? Thank you. Good night.